So what surprised me about the election results? Well, I have to admit, one of the videos that I posted this week, I posted it the day after the election, and I had said Trump won. Well, I made that video the day before. I made that on the day of the election. And so the results came in and I thought Trump was going to win. I was kind of, thinking that it was going to be a lot closer. So what really surprised me was the overall results of the popular vote. I made in that video, or one of the videos, I said, I think that the popular vote is going to be very, very close because that's just what I see with the nation in regard to, people and their opinions on things. It seems like we still have this big divide. But what it shows me, and what I'm surprised about is I, with my eyes and the people that I talk to and the conversations that I have and the comments that I read and things like that, it seems like the nation is trending more towards a more Trump open mindset. Now, Trump himself, maybe not, but his coalition of RFK and Tulsi Gabbard and, all of these people coming together from different perspectives, just slightly before the election, Trump and RFK weren't really seeing eye to eye. And then they started coming together, and then RFK started to help him out because I think they started to realize, look, RFK, he can't run for president. He's not going to win. So he's going to jump on board with Trump, and maybe he can then influence Trump from the inside. And it looks like he has. And I made a video about making America healthy again. And hey, we're making this country in a better way of health. And he might head that. And it's like, hey, if you're now part of this bigger picture, you can make big change just like a president can make change. Maybe not on the same level, but that's just where we're at. And I was just so surprised because I really thought, looking at the corporate media, and I guess you could say corporate media is dead, but looking at it from that point of view, it's like they have such strong opinions. I mean, just days before the election, they took Trump's quote out of context and they said that he wants Liz Cheney to be shot and killed. And this was on news after news after news. And I know people that believe that stuff, but if you watch the quote, it's the exact opposite. He's saying, hey, she should think about what she's saying because she doesn't have to go out and fight herself. If she was in that position, maybe she would have a different opinion. Not she needs to be killed. Maybe she should have a different perspective on things because she's not actually taking bullets. She's so far away. It's the exact opposite of actually putting, and trying to kill her. But yet the mainstream media went after that. And there's people, I know people that believe that stuff. And the people that are saying it, a lot of times they believe it. So what my perspective was, I still think there's all these people out there who aren't paying attention, that aren't looking for reconciliation. They don't want to take Democrats and Republicans and bring them together. They want to keep things divided and they want to have their way. And I saw that as that's probably what's going to play out in the election. You're going to have 50-50 split and it's going to come down to those swing states. Well, it came down to the swing states at the end of it, but look at what happened with New York. Look at what happened with California. Those states historically are blue. And if you compare them from 2020 to 2024, they're so much closer. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the nation? The nation is sick of the way things were going, sick of the party politics. They want to bring things together. They want to be more neutral. They want to have policies that benefit the nation as opposed to benefiting only certain groups of people or maybe even benefiting other nations like the aid for Ukraine and things like that. I think people are just like, look, we have enough problems here. Why can't we solve those problems and then help other people? It's not that we don't want to help other people, but if we can't make our own bed, why are we going to make other people's beds and give them milk and cookies and give them breakfast in bed? Like that doesn't make any sense for us. If we're living in chaos ourselves, you might say, well, our chaos is relatively not the same as that. I agree, right? We're not in a war zone, but that still doesn't mean that we have to put our hand and our pinkies and toes and everything into every little thing that's happening on the planet. I think that spells recipe for disaster. And you see that with our economy, and you see that with, hey, we've been aiding them. How's that been working out for them? We've been aiding Ukraine. How's that been working out? So even when we want to help, is that really helping? Look at what happened with Iraq. Look at what happened with Afghanistan. We could go on and on with these examples, but what our focus is as a nation, has shifted, I think. I think we're sick of that. And I think the people have spoken. They've come out and said, hey, it's time to put America first. And if I think that that's what Trump represents. Hate him or love him, I don't like a lot of the stuff that he says and his personality. I am not a Trumper. I am not a lefty liberal. I am straight down the middle. I want to think about every issue and come up with it, not based on a party, not based on a person, not based on, hey, we're just going with the crowd. I want to think about these things deeply. That's what I was impressed with JD Vance. I think the interviews with Joe Rogan, Trump's interview, and JD Vance's interview with Rogan, they really swayed, I think, a lot of people. And they got me thinking about it as well, because I looked at the way JD Vance analyzes things, and maybe it's just because his name is JD and my name is JD, and JDs just know how to look at things. No, I'm just kidding. But hey, he looks at things the same as I, and we do have the same name. So I look at that and I go, oh, interesting. But he thinks deeply about subjects. He's not just looking at it from one angle going, hey, how do we make money in and out? He's like, okay, well, there's a deeper psychology that goes on, and that's what I try to do, and that's what I try to do on this channel. If you've watched any of my videos, it's not just the topical stuff. I want to get to the roots of these problems. That's been my whole thing with, hey, Trump isn't going to save all of our it's not going to stop all the problems that are happening in this nation. We still have to do a lot of work. We still have to get to the root causes of things. And if we can do that, our nation's going to heal and our nation's going to change. And I think the results that came in, where you saw even places like California, where I live, where it's very left-leaning, it's very liberal, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. If those people, and a lot of the conservatives, mind you, left and they went to other states. So this is even bigger when you think about it. If you take that into consideration, the fact that the gap was narrowed even more shows you that people are fed up with the policies that they have. I mean, housing prices in California are insane. All costs in California, I mean, it's insane. It's so expensive. Everything is so expensive. And that's indicative of the whole nation, but it's especially so in California because we have these extra, crazy policies that go along with it. So when you take a step back and you look at what happened with the election and you go, well, the mainstream media, they're off because they were saying all this extreme stuff, which I don't think fits. I think it fits for a certain percentage of the population. You have people screaming and crying and all upset over Trump. Look, that's not going to solve anything. That's not going to do anything. And I think most people are looking at that and you're going, you're extreme, you're crazy. If you want to worship Trump, I think you're also setting yourself up for failure. But I think most of the nation is somewhere in between. And they said, we got to go on this way, right? He's not Hitler. He's not some dictator. We've had him for 4 years. So all the stuff that you're saying about that, the mainstream media is saying all that, it's not jiving with us. And people came out and voted, and that's what it shows. Now, maybe he does turn into a dictator. We can't predict the future. And I'm not sitting here saying that he's going to do everything that he said. I say we have to hold his ass to the fire. We have to make sure that those things get done. But I was so surprised. I was so surprised to see that, because I feel like our nation is still in such a way that we're very hurt. We're very emotional. We're very damaged. And that stuff doesn't heal overnight. But I was surprised to see that people are making a change. And I think, dealing with the pandemic and dealing with a lot of this extreme stuff, it being pushed from the social media outlets, I think that is going to be something that was a huge mistake if their agenda was to keep people down that line and they wanted to win the election by shifting points of view. We see a lot of this stuff. Hey, they're promoting certain things. They're shadow banning the Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump. All that stuff actually works against them. That wave in one direction actually turns around and goes the other way, especially with people who are in the middle, like myself, who go, hey, I'm not for one or the other. I'm going to pay attention to why you're doing that. Why don't you want me to see these things? Oh, I looked at them and I saw them. They weren't that bad. As a matter of fact, I agree with them. But yet you're telling me that you're trying to get rid of that point of view? I look at that and I go, maybe you're in the wrong. And so all of that energy that they had towards pushing people in one direction away from Donald Trump and that administration actually hurt them in the long term, I think, with the neutral, with the swing states, with the people who are undecided. And I think that that's a good sign for the nation, because we don't want to be swayed. We want to make up our own decisions. And if people are making their own decisions, that they're looking at things and going, hey, you pushed us one way, we're going to start opening these other doors and going, hey, what's actually in there? And then they open it and go, hey, that's not what you said it was. You shouldn't be banning that. You should be having free and open ideas and free discussion so that we can hear all points of view. I think that's how the country gets better. And so it's interesting to me because with all of that energy and with all the shadow banning and with all the cancellations and all of these things that people do to try to stop points of view, it didn't work out in the end. So I think that's I'm much more optimistic about our nation because I think that we went through growing pains, and I think we went through a phase in our development that was challenging. We didn't know who was right, and we wanted to go with the mainstream, and we wanted to go with the old guard, and we wanted to, again, keep things the way that they were going. And it just didn't work out. We're not that extreme. We're much more down the middle. We're much more, again, America first, because we're selfish. That's just how we are. And we want to help ourselves, and we want that to trickle into other counties and other communities and in other states. And we want things to be good. And if it's not good in your own home, in your own state, in your own economy, then what does that mean? We gotta clean up shop in through here. And I think that focus is what changed the election results. And I was surprised. I'm gonna say I'm surprised. Again, it doesn't mean anything's over. It doesn't mean, hey, we can just go back to resting our laurels and they're gonna take care of everything because we put the right people in, and we still have to, again, make sure that they're gonna do the right thing. So that's what I was surprised about with the election. I think it spells more optimism in the future for our nation because I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that we have to do the work. All right, we can't just rely on people to make decisions for us. We have to come together as a nation. We have to start communicating. You're seeing that with Tulsi Gabbard. You're seeing that with RFK. These are Democrats. These are Democrats who have said, hey, enough is enough. You're seeing that with lots of other people. Jimmy Dore is another person that reports on all these things, the hypocrisy. It's like, look, we're sick of it. We want to be free and open, and we want ideas to be out there and let the best rise, what's best for us. It's not just it's not just Yankees, Red Sox. Well, I just want the Yankees to win, even though they're cheating. I don't care. That's not what it's about. We want to have a level playing field, but we want to make things better for everyone. And I think if we start realizing that's what most people want. It's not just these extremes that hate each other because they have different points of view. Most people are somewhere along the middle and they go, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from, but let's tone it down a little bit and let's come together. If we can do that, things are going to be good for this nation. And so I was surprised because I thought we were much more polarized. So good news for this country of America. And, hey, I'm optimistic, which is different than I've been for the past many years. So I was surprised. Were you surprised? Let me know. Bye.